Welcome back. So today is the day we're back at it, and now we got to get the harness into the truck to make everything work. I want to start this thing, and basically it is just a wiring mess right now. Just to put the wires in, I got a lot of things I have to connect between the two harnesses before everything will work. But let's start that and get that in. Hopefully we can get it running soon. Hear some music very shortly. So I got it all janky wired together, and I'm not getting any turnover. I don't even hear the fuel pump. I should actually check the fuel pump reset. Oh, there we go. I hear the fuel pump. Fuel pump made noise and it spit out a little gas right down underneath there. I don't have all of it hooked up. I don't know where it will come out of. But it came out of, oh, it's because my lines aren't hooked up yet. Right there. That's why. Okay. Makes sense. So, I gotta do that yet. But I get nothing from the starter. So, that could be a few things. So what I found on these things are ground wires are so dang important, and everything's got to be grounded. So I may not have the engine grounded to the body yet. I do have the battery to the body over there. I have some of the grounds on the body, like this one over here, and then one out there on the clamp. But I also have this one back here for the fuel pump. I cleaned up a little spot. Now those ones up there, I just put it on the visor screw, so that might not be working either. I have to figure something out, try a couple other things, but I know I'm getting power because my fuel pump went on. So that's awesome. Now I just got to get everything checked out, and I'll do that once more. But for today, I'm done. I finished up all the wiring. I took out all the extra. You can see that is a full pail now, and that is not just wire, those are connectors as well. And so all those extra connectors is something that has to go into the vehicle if you don't take it out. And this is already a string of wires. This is not going to be bad. This I'll be able to make work pretty easy. There's enough room underneath there. I can pull it together and put it under there and make that work. Yeah, anyway, so that's a start. It's gonna work. It's gonna start soon. I know it. So when I was doing the wiring, something that I learned from doing a few of these already is there's a bunch of these connectors inside the loom. And there's multiple wires going to it, and some of them come out. Just because you cut one off of there doesn't mean you're gonna cut them all out of there. Leave it in there until you literally have to take it out. You've cut the last wire in that bundle, and then the whole thing can come out. Then you can back trace it all the way back. On the back of the fuse box, I have a bunch of circuits here that I'll be able to use for other things. Like I took out the radio circuit, there was a airbag circuit, there was a bunch of others that I pulled out of here. Now I pulled the fuses out of here as well, so that I don't have power on these wires. They're just dangling there and they have nothing. I've also cleaned out all the pins. So you'll notice on the back here, I cut wires out of here, but as you can see on this side, there's a whole bunch. But they are literally going into nothing now, and there's no pigtails on the other side. You just got to take your time and go through the whole harness and make sure that you pull it all out like this. There's only 3 wires in there now, even though there's a whole bunch more from the other harness, which I could likely pull out because they're not doing anything, but I don't want to pull out anything that's gonna keep me from going any further. So yeah, this is what I'm willing to do right now. I'm using the column right at the moment just so that I know that that isn't going to be an issue. Part of it might be that this thing has to be grounded too. That is possible as well. So I'll have to check that out, see if that's an issue. There's lots of stuff here that I didn't need. These look to be, well, pink and black is usually for lights. I'm not quite sure what that was for, but there are so many light wires inside this harness, all over the place, because they had lights everywhere. Glove boxes, dash doors, all the doors had them. Yeah, they were everywhere. So yeah, this is getting there. Once I have this thing started, then I will take all the wiring harnesses off, loom them where they need to be, tape them all up, and put it into the truck. Then after that, everything underneath the truck needs doing as well. Just gonna take everything off. I don't have to worry about fires then. I didn't smell anything. I do the smell test before you go too far with it. Didn't see any smoke, no smells, so that's good. Now it's just a matter of trying to find out where my missing pieces are, and also connect the tank up, and then this thing should run. So anyway, until tomorrow, we'll see you then. So we were able to figure out what was going on. There must be a system on here for some reason. If you don't have all the wiring, and I've cut some of the wiring in here, obviously, that doesn't allow it to start up. But if I just use the wires that I'm going to use in the original ignition here, it starts right up. I had Keith over here because things were just weird. I couldn't get it to go. Now if I turn it on, I don't know if you can hear that, but the fuel pump went on. Now which one is it? This one, that one. Come on. Starts right up. Not a problem. It kills right away, so I'm not quite sure what that is all about. I have to do a little research on that, but this is basically hot wiring a car, and maybe there is still a system that's in play here that isn't allowing me to use the fuel pump all the time. I can hear it turn on, you know, when there it goes. Turn the key and there's nothing. But as soon as I hit this, starts right up. Not a problem. So, let me do some figuring out here and see what, I'll show you kind of on the ignition what I've done. And so all I did, and you can see my little jumper wire here. This is the jumper wire. Now, this is the red and the white on the 95, the red and pink or whatever color that is. That actually runs to the starter, so that's my power to the starter. So once I hit this, there, I have my fuel pump on now. Now, and ignition, so now it should go. Just like that. So that's basically hot wiring the car. And so that's what I've got to do. I've got to pull these wires out, figure what each one is for, and then I'll route it into my ignition switch. Now, in the back of my ignition switch, once I have power on here, this is where, oh, this is my power lug right here. So that's where I get power from. And then wherever I turn this key, gives power to these other wires, which is under this plug. It looks very similar to one of the newer ones, just with the spade connectors. So what I'm going to have to do is find the circuits in here that I need to run my lights. And once I can find these, what I'll do is I'll clip it here and I'll plug it into where I need it as well, along with the wires from this ignition. And I'll just put spades connectors on there and connect it right to the back of this box. And once I have that done, I'll show you what I did there and where I put everything. I know I have a diagram for my 2007 that I did. The other conversions that me and Keith did, I actually kept the wiring, like the lighting harness and everything from the car, and we used it in the truck. So in those ones, we actually used the Crown Vic column, which made sense because then we had our indicators, we had our flashers, we had everything, and everything worked as soon as we plugged it in. This one I'm going to do a little different. I did the same thing on my 71 as this one I want to do. I want to make it look like a factory truck in here. I don't want it to look like I've done a whole bunch of... I don't want it to look like a conversion. I want it to, you know, you look inside the truck and go, oh, really? It's just an old F100, right? But underneath it's all fuel injected and overdrive transmission, that sort of thing, power brakes, power disc brakes right around. So that's what I want to do on this one. And so it means that I'm going to have to put some of the wiring from the truck into the car harness just to make everything work. The fan, like the heater fan box and stuff, I plan on using one of those power wires that I took from the harness that I have down here. There's a green one, there's a yellow one, there's a couple others. I'll see which one will work the best. I think one is just fused, and that's the one I'll use on the box here, and that'll give me enough power to run that box, and that should work. I might have to clean it out yet. That's another day. That's not a problem for today. So that's what I got to do. I got to figure out this wiring, figure out where everything goes, and we'll go from there.
Really? All good. Yeah.
He's wanted in a few states. This is a 69 Ford pickup truck that Keith picked up in Was it Winnipeg? Yep. Winnipeg. The guy was actually contacted Keith. He was looking for a totally different cab because this one is a little rusty. But they're all rusty. It wouldn't have mattered. So this one needs a bunch of new metal. But he'd sandblasted it, and as you can see on the inside. And so we're trying to protect it a little bit anyway, so that it doesn't just disappear and outside. And so we put a little bit of paint on it. Extra spray can paint. Zach here is doing the back in pink. He's a premier painter, you can tell. You can tell by the way it is. It's okay, Zach. You can't help it. It is that's right. So this is the main reason why he bought it, not the actual truck itself, but the chassis. This thing has been done up. It's got the Crown Vic front suspension out of a 2010 police car. Motor and powertrain from it, and it's all been mounted. Everything is done. He's plated it on the front. This was actually a long box, but it's actually been shortened. You can see it right over here where it's been shortened, and he's fish plated it on the inside. He was actually a chassis builder for a company out of Winnipeg, and so he's done a lot of work to this thing. The back end is Crown Vic as well, 8.8. I think we just looked at the gear ratio. It's 327. He's put in this crossbar here for the shock mounts. He's built plates for the shocks. It's got a Mustang tank in the back here. I think he said the shocks or the springs were recurved. It's got the axle on the bottom, which I find interesting, the way he's done it here. It is lower. I don't think it's going to be as low as my Merc yet, but it's pretty low in the back. And it'll be able to handle a load. It's set up for it. So he had it running, but he couldn't get a fuel from the back, so we got to figure out what that is. But he had it running. He actually just sprayed stuff inside the intake over there, and it worked. So he started chopping the box and didn't get very far. He was having problems. I guess his gaps were a little bit big. You can tell at the bottom here it's pulling in and stuff. And I had the same thing happen to mine. You just got to manipulate it to try and get it in there. The gap is a little bit of a pain, but that can be fixed also. It used to be, this thing's been 3 colors, you can tell. But there's 3 different paint jobs on here, and it looks like it was originally a light blue, and then a little darker blue on this one, and then this blue. The box anyway, the box isn't in bad shape, so it'll be fixable. We'll be able to weld that up and make that work. It is a 69 Ranger. At least that's what the badging we found for it. The glove box had 3 holes on it for the Ranger sign. The Ranger sign is here. We haven't found the Ranger sign for the side of the box. There was boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. So yeah, that is should be good. It's and we're not really worried about the cab at all. The cab is the cab we're trying to keep good because we might be able to fix it, but the Merc over here has the wrong tailgate on it, but we do have the right tailgate for it in the right color that I was able to find from a guy. And this is the Mercury, a 67 Mercury that's going to go right onto that chassis, and we should be able to make that work pretty easy. It's just pull the cab off, bolt it on, shorten the box, bolt it on, make the wiring harness go. I guess some steering, some brakes. He wants to use the original Crown Vic brakes for it, and booster and master. He's saying ABS as well, but I don't know. I wouldn't do that. It's a summer truck. It's not a winter vehicle. Although he might ride in it in winter. Who knows? But that's the plan with that chassis. Should be pretty cool. Anyway, that's the update on this one, and hopefully this one will be a go soon. That M100 is pretty rough, so that's a long-term project that we'll get in every once in a while to do some work on. This one I think can be done pretty quickly, so that's a good possibility. So we got the chassis in the shop. It's gonna get some paint, and the frame is anyway, so it doesn't rust. We're gonna put some rust converting paint on there. It's a black farm paint that Keith has that we're gonna put on there. And we've got the Merc in the shop. So we've oiled down some bolts. Hopefully they come out nicely. If not, we'll just cut them off. The cab and the clip, front clip, and the box should come off pretty easy. And yeah, so that's what Keith is working on right now. Going to be working on. He's going to remove this so he can remove the chassis out of here, and once he's painted the frame, this stuff can go right on top of there. And that's the deal. It's in the shop. So this guy is a 3 in a tree, and you can tell that by the way that it is, like Mortsky says. But there's that's the shifters and the column. I thought at first it was an automatic because I saw the column shift in there, but this is obviously was a 3-speed trans. Let's see, what does it have on that side? It does have a hole there, but I don't think that'll work for an auto. But with the 69 that came with this frame, there is a column here, right there, automatic. So that should work pretty good. I don't know if that's what Keith wants to do, but what's the plan? How are you making it? I'm not sure. Very, very, very early stages here. This one, it looks like, well, this cab mount is not very good. This one's actually crushed some here. The other side looks good though. We haven't really taken a look at the floors too much. Hopefully this isn't another M1 situation where everything is rotted away. We could see this one before, and this one looked pretty good. Hopefully the lighting, hopefully you can see that. This one looks like it's had some work done. You can see the welding right along here. So there's obviously been some work done to this already. Oh yeah, right here too. Oh no, that's not welding. It has been fixed upon previously. The other side is in serious need of some work, but yeah. It is. I mean, motor and trans are done in here. The head, you sold this head, right? Yep. This is the one that you sold at that meet. Yeah, there was a swap meet. There was a guy that was going to show up there from a ways away, and we met him at swap meet in Winnipeg, and he purchased it there. That was 2 years ago. This thing's been sitting for a little while. but the perfect chassis just showed up. So it should be fun. And that concludes our video for this week. Haven't been able to do a lot. The 62 is running, but I still got to find the issue, which hopefully that won't take too long. I think it's a ground issue from what I'm reading anyway. It sounds like if the service engine light doesn't come on right when you turn the key, then there's no power to the computer. Whether that's true or not, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna put some ground wires on and see if I can ground it out really well. And once that's done, maybe I'll chase down some connectors. I might not have something connected either. I'll search that, see if I got everything like that done and see what happens that time. Hopefully it continues running. And until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.